Yay.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Wow.
Hello.
Meow. 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 Meow.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. All right. It's
Right.
Gadgetcast time. I'm gonna summon this energy.
You better summon that energy, man. You better summon that energy.
I need all the energy.
Yes, indeed.
Let me tweet this out.
Yeah, it lost connection with your Twitter and the Gadgetcast Twitter. So you'd have to re-sign in, but I don't even know how to tell you to do that. I don't remember.
I'm not sure either.
Everybody in the house seeing you doing big things. Yeah, I mean, numbers across the board. It's still shitey numbers on YouTube and podcasting. I can't wait till things go back to normal. It'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
When people actually want to watch my YouTube videos, that'll be great. That'll be awesome. Can't wait for that.
For like the last 2 weeks, I think my videos have either been like 1 or 2 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. So,
So
maybe
it's
we're getting out of it, but not yet.
It's either really good or really terrible. Huh?
Yeah, and my good now isn't as good as it used to be, which kind of because it's like weighed down by like these other results.
Yeah.
Like
for sure. Yeah,
I'm like that's a 1 out of 10. Huh.
It's like you almost want to feel good about yourself, but not exactly.
Yeah. I wish they never instituted that whole system because
so interestingly, they sent out a poll kind of asking what type of what it feels like when you see those things. I think they're going to try to reword it in some way.
I don't feel like it's helpful at all. I mean, it's only helpful like to know like that you did a good video, but like everything else, when it's like a 10 out of 10,
it makes you feel
and I wouldn't mind if there was like things that made sense where it's like you can do this and it would like help this video out, but any of the advice they give on those lower videos are completely worthless.
Yeah, 100%. Because you look at this last one, and he's talking about Mammoth, our new S21 Ultra, and I can't even log in because I'm logged in the Gadgetcast. Anyway, it's 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, which I kind of figured it might be, I guess. I mean, those sometimes they don't all start out slow. They don't actually. Almost all of them end up being pretty decent, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 ever that I've done. I think I've done like 15 or 16 of them, and they just go over time. But I mean, usually they start better than this, so it's like, But I mean, I needed to get something out. It was a sponsored video.
Yeah. And it's always like I can look at it and it'll be like, less viewers are interested in this video. Yeah. And it's like the click-through rate's higher than it's ever been. It's just you're not showing the video to
the right people, right? 100% agree. I know. So ridiculous. Hate it. All right. Well, I have some stuff to talk about right off the top. So let's go ahead and get into this Gadgetcast. Why not?
What they need to do, because this would be more honest, they need to be like, yeah, we don't think we would make as much money on this video, or it's not as marketable, so we really don't want to show it off. And then I'd kind of be okay with that, because then I'd learn like, oh, maybe these videos aren't good because for whatever reason they don't want to show it off. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, why? That sucks.
Oh well. YouTube problems.
Well, let's get into some stuff.
Wow.
Because it's not like we have a whole bunch to talk about. We should probably just save this for the podcast, because I have a feeling this might be a short episode unless there's something that I'm not aware of.
Someone's got to come in and save us. So,
yeah,
Sonny Dixon, John Prosser, whoever, if you want to drop a hot leak.
We should have brought in some guests or something.
What are they going to talk about?
I don't know. Well, at least we're talking. I don't know. Well, here's the thing. We should have gotten well, I don't know. He probably could come on and we could talk about food like we did that one time.
Yeah. That's what the show's gonna resort to.
It's Foodcast. Okay, let's get going. Tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's do this right now. Another Gadgetcast in 3, 2, 1, record.
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions. 3, 2, 1, 0, 0, and liftoff.
Hello, world. We are back, the most entertaining podcast out there, the Gadget Cast. My name is Gregory McFadden, joined always with my co-host Travis MCP.
Space travel.
I just say space travel.
All right, now, baby, space travel in the house, doing it big. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend and week, depending on when you're listening to this. We appreciate you.
Yes, I can see that we got some people in the chat talking about all kinds of stuff, and I think it's going to be an interesting week because there's not much to talk about. So maybe we'll go off on some tangent, and because Riley, he says he took a break from Dragon Ball Z to watch this, so I think he was better watching Dragon Ball Z. And then someone in the chat said the Genius Bar podcast was boring. So maybe sorry, Genius Bar. I think we're gonna have to step up and save the entire podcasting industry this week, Travis.
Obviously.
So
that's
so,
what's gonna happen, yeah.
Tall order for us.
Well, I mean, I do have a little something to talk about before we get into tech a little bit, and it's all GadgetCast related because it came from, I want to say 3 weeks ago, maybe even more. I don't know, when we first started talking about cars. I don't know, we were talking about the trade-in values of cars and everything. And I was telling you during the podcast that I was kind of interested because someone in the chat had talked about that the trade-in value on used cars was really good right now. We talked briefly about that. So I did my own research, Gregory, and interesting things happened over the last couple of weeks. So here's the thing. Number one, whoever was in the chat that said that trade-in values are higher than they've ever been was absolutely telling the truth. I had a 2016 Jeep Cherokee Limited that I bought used in 2016. It only had 30,000 miles at the time. I think I paid $18,000 for it, I believe, right? And by this year, it had 70,000 miles because I wasn't driving that much. So it only has 70,000 miles here in 2021. And I decided to see what the trade-in value was for it. And my eyes about fell out of my head. They were going to give me over $16,000 trade-in for it. And if you think about that, to have a car for 4.5 years and only lose less than $2,000 trade-in is incredible. That is insane. But the car has been paid off. I don't need another car. I don't like having bills. I don't have to pay anything. I like having a paid off car that works fine, right? But I couldn't resist, man. I couldn't resist. So I had to get myself a new vehicle. I did it. I wanted to get with all the technology, which is why one of the main reasons I did. I got one with Apple Play, CarPlay. It has Android CarPlay or whatever too, or whatever it's called, Android Auto. But I'm only using CarPlay at the moment. And I'm enjoying it. I like it. I have a new car, which is kind of fun. I don't know.
Very nice.
It's all because of GadgetCast. Spent a lot of money because of GadgetCast. So this is already becoming literally would not have done this without GadgetCast, which I'm not sure if I feel good about or not. I will say this, and I tweeted this out. There is so the trim that I got has Android Auto and CarPlay, but not wireless CarPlay, which I thought was kind of strange because the trim down from it does for some unknown reason. Now, if you're not familiar with CarPlay or Android Auto, it's a really cool system in the little dashboard things that a lot of cars have that allow you to use your phone as like the smart kind of, I don't know, how would you describe this, Greg? It makes your car smarter.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it basically puts your phone screen on the display.
Yeah, it's borrowing the technology from your phone because, like, when the car makers implemented like their own systems, they were like atrocious.
Right. This is cool because you can use things like GPS, so it has all the latest things. You can use Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever, which is going to have all the traffic and all the things. It's going to have all of your apps, and it's really, really cool to have access to that in your car. It's not just phone calls; it's everything. And there's a wireless version. For the most part, you have to plug in Lightning to USB, or if you have an Android phone, USB-C to USB. But there's a wireless version where as soon as you sit in your car, it all connects. But for whatever reason, my car didn't have that. But on Amazon, they actually sell a little adapter thing, which I purchased. It's USB, has it's a little dongle-ish looking thing. And it basically tricks the car and kind of bridges the gap between your car and your phone and makes it so that the entire CarPlay is wireless. So when I sit down, even though I don't have to plug my phone in, I get CarPlay on my car, which is amazing. It works perfect. It's great. I love it.
That's really cool that exists. Like, because I have the same problem with my cars. It's CarPlay, but it's only wired. And I was like, when I was buying it, I was like, same thing. I'm like, wireless would be nice, but like, you got to spend some like extra cash to get that. I'm like, all right, I'll just plug it in, not knowing that there's literally like $100 adapter that you can buy on Amazon and just like plug it in. And you said it works like flawlessly, so I'm thinking about getting that too.
Yeah, and I really like it, and it might work better in some cars more than others. Mine's a 2022 Hyundai Tucson Limited, but it works perfectly. It connects every time. It's not laggy. It works, and it's like magic. And it makes you wonder, why didn't Apple come out with this adapter? Some third party had to come out with it. Why wouldn't Apple just come out with it? You know, they came out with a $100 battery pack that's maybe not worth the time, but you know, Gwendolyn, I'll throw that in the chat. Of course, I'll throw the link in the chat. Don't worry, I'll throw all you guys an affiliate link. Hold on one second. Let me get this going.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like all the businesses that Apple is in. And there's rumors that they may eventually get into the car business somehow, whether that's with their own car or making like a third-party system for other cars, which I don't think they would do. It doesn't seem very Apple-like. But in the meantime, you think they would find a way to get CarPlay into even older cars, kind of like how Amazon did that with the, I forget what it's called, the Alexa Auto. You kind of get like Amazon Alexa right in your car. Yeah. And, you know, Apple has like the Apple TV for your TV. It's kind of like, you know, turns your set-top box into an Apple TV. You think they would have something similar for the car, and they've never really done that. They've never really done any automotive stuff. And it is interesting that third parties can do it, but you feel like Apple would sell you a box and they could sell it to you for like $200, you know, maybe make it look a little bit nicer. They could definitely sell it to you for like $200.
They totally would. They totally
would. Yeah. But it's strange how they haven't done that yet, because, you know, if you've dealt with technology, one area that is very frustrating is in cars. Cars usually lag behind in technology like crazy. Like even getting like a newer model like you got 2022, and you would think, if I'm getting a car in 2022 at this point, it's gonna have wireless, right? Like you just would assume any car in 2022 would have wireless CarPlay or Android Auto, and the fact that this one is still like wired as default, it just goes to show you sometimes like how certain industries really do lag behind. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not really a big car guy, but I do like to see whatever Tesla is doing. Yeah. And I would like to see someone like Apple or someone else get into this game, because I think that is an industry that is in desperate need of a shakeup there, some major competition.
I 100% agree with that. Like one of the things, I'm not a car guy either. Like I'll get a car every 5-6 years or whatever. And I probably would have I would have waited longer this time because I'm not even driving as much. It just so happens that I really wanted the technology, and the trade-in thing was weird, so I had to take advantage of it. But yeah, I mean, I love technology in the car. I like to have, you know, access to all that stuff instead of having to put my phone up on a little thing, and you know, it's distracting. And to be able to have it all by voice and everything is great. The GPS is better than the built-in GPS in my old car. I mean, obviously, even Apple Maps is better than that. Yeah. So yeah, all in all, it's a great little system. And same thing with Android Auto. So Android Auto has this, usually is in the same type of headpiece. So even if you have, here's an interesting thing, which I thought was really weird. Typically when you see because I remember Apple even promoting this. Typically when you see you know, something that only works on one type of app or the other, a lot of times it's Apple. My car has a feature that you can use your phone to like use a digital key, but for right now, it only works on Android, which I thought was interesting because I was pretty certain I saw Apple showing that off for certain cars, and like, what was it, WWDC or something or maybe it was something else where they were showing their iPhone unlocking cars and stuff.
I think that was for this last WWDC for iOS 15. So maybe when they roll out the software this fall, maybe all of a sudden your car will be added to the list of cars that work with it. Maybe,
but I just thought it was interesting that Android worked right off the bat and not iOS. Yeah. I just thought it was very interesting. I'm not probably going to use that, but I was shocked by that. I was like, wow, I mean, I would have expected worst case scenario that they'd be available for both. But if it turned out that it was only for one or the other, I really thought it would be iOS. So, but I mean, not for whatever reason. I think I read somewhere online, though, that they are going to try to get it out later this year. But I thought it was really interesting that didn't get done. If I am a manufacturer of cars that's selling primarily in America, I want iPhone support. It's really one of the top, if not the top selling phone in America. So it's kind of like, why wouldn't you try to do? And nothing against Android. Love Android. Worked great. But it's all awesome. But that was weird to me. I was like, that's a very strange oversight.
Yeah, and you think it would hit like the demographics too, because traditionally people who buy iPhones in the US too are more willing to spend money on other things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a car with that feature on it, well, even if you sold it at like an upgraded price, maybe people with an iPhone would all of a sudden pay extra for that sort of feature.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it happens like that. Sometimes Android's just way ahead on certain features, and it takes Apple quite a while to catch up. That's not, you say it's like an interesting thing, but I've seen that time and time again, honestly, where it's like, hey, this Android phone had wireless charging, and then it takes like Apple a full 3 years to even implement a feature like that sometimes. So
yeah, I guess I don't mean like on the phone, but the fact that that technology exists and certainly could have worked on an iPhone, but they didn't choose to implement it at least right away. I mean, I think they're going to. Like I said, I think I saw something that said they're going to later this year, but it was just weird that. And here's the other thing. So this adapter that I put in the chat, there's two versions. There's one for iOS version below 14.5 and above. That's strange. What happened between iOS 14.5 and 14.6, which, by the way, isn't that old? 14.6 is only like a couple of weeks old or something.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the hardware had to change. So that's another, like, what did Apple implement in iOS that changed the capabilities of this piece of hardware so that they actually have to ship apparently a completely different piece of hardware for? I thought that was very interesting. And hopefully when iOS 15 comes out, it doesn't bork my system, because now I'm really used to it.
Yeah.
Well, so that's my car. What else is going on there, Gregory?
I don't know. No. Speaking of Apple, they did just like release their earnings again, and this is always like a fun story to follow, just to see how well Apple does. Can they keep up their streak of making a buttload of money every single quarter when people seem to think that for whatever reason they're gonna fall off the face of the earth? And what do you know? Again, they have another record quarter. Better than anyone even expected them to have, and iPhone sales are like doing amazing right now, which is surprising to me, because I know like the iPhone 12, people said it would be a super cycle with like 5G and everything like that, but I personally had my doubts about that, just because I knew like phone sales overall the past couple of years before that were kind of slowing down a little bit, and people are worried like, oh, our phone sales going to slow to a point where it's really going to hurt Apple. So I was even wondering, like, can Apple actually like sell enough of these iPhone 12s to make that up? And it seems to be a very popular phone. It seems to be selling really well in the US and even in parts of like China and stuff like that. And yeah, the iPhone revenue was up like crazy. Mac and iPad sales were high again, because I guess everyone, the work from home situation. So, everything working together, Apple just had like another, I forget like the numbers, like crazy amount of money. Let's just say that, like insane amount of money coming into them in one quarter.
It's crazy. I assume that most of that is from the US, because I don't know if they region price their devices. In other words, something that's $1,000 here, if you went over to India and just did it straight across, would be, I mean, it's more than $1,000. I get this all the time in my chat from my live stream, that like, oh, that phone is actually like $1,500 over here. It's like, woof. So I don't know if they do that or not, but it's kind of amazing that they will sell things like a keyboard case for $350, and a battery pack that isn't all that great for $100, and make out like bandits. Like, people, they've gotten the customer experience down so well that they're able to get away with it. And the fandom behind Apple is still weird. Like, even though now I'm kind of in the ecosystem and kind of locked in or whatever, at least for a while, it still kind of perplexes me. And I'm actually perplexed whenever I spend the extra money on something. I feel dumb, but I always feel like the quality is there. So the ridiculous amount of money it costs to get like an Apple case, right? But I've bought them for the iPhone 12. I've the silicone and the leather ones that are way overpriced. But when I get them, the quality is so good that I stop being mad about it. Like, I'm mad about it when I'm there. I'm like, why am I buying this? Then when I put it on or whatever, it feels so right that after a while I kind of forget. Yeah, that was way too much money for that. I could have gotten 2 cases off Amazon for the same price, or maybe more, because the quality is so good. So Apple has figured out this. They figured it out more than I think a lot of people give them credit for. It's that feel, that experience that you can go to the Apple store, you can get your stuff fixed, like the customer service obsession in some ways, and the obsession to quality, that even though they're charging probably more than they need to, after you pay it, I really believe people think it's worth it.
Yeah, I find that's mostly true with a lot of their stuff, but I think you're right, and sometimes they do actually miss the quality mark, and it feels pretty rare sometimes. Yeah. I know, like, there are like a lot of like initial reactions to things whenever Apple releases something new. The first takes usually are like, that looks overpriced. But usually, like, even in the case of like the Magic Keyboard, I think that's one of my like go-to examples of like, this thing is way too overpriced.
Right.
You get it. You try out some other third-party options. And even though I still think like, man, that's expensive, it is probably overpriced, I can't argue that like I love it and I'm going to keep using it because it is so well made and it makes the experience of using a keyboard that much better. I've used a lot of the Logitech ones. Like, they're half the price. They are good. But like, if you use both, you understand there's a quality standpoint from there, and you can kind of get like, I can see why this is more money, and I'm not too mad at it because I do like it. But the MagSafe battery pack, I would say maybe might be a miss for them because it's such a generic product that even though there is some smarts built into it that's gonna help save on like battery life, I heard from some people who are testing the Anchor version of this, which is cheaper. It's like $50. And the Apple one didn't heat up as much, probably because it's got like the smarts, it's talking to the phone. However, it's still $100. And I think most people would probably be willing to put up with a little bit of heat if it means, $50 less. So something like the MagSafe battery pack, I think is a miss for them, because I think people would have been happier if it offered like a really tremendous experience with the battery pack. Maybe if they had some special technology where, like, wireless charging is more inefficient. So even if this battery pack has a lot of capacity, you lose that capacity by going through wireless charging rather than just plugging it in. So when you expect Apple to make a battery pack, maybe you expect them to kind of figure that out. Maybe you expect them to have like this secret handshake between these two devices where maybe it loses 4% of the efficiency compared to like 15% of the efficiency. I'm just making up numbers. I don't know what the efficiency loss is, but you expect them to maybe try and do something like that. And then when you find out that it's like the same as any other wireless charger out there, you kind of go, well, okay, maybe this wasn't the right product for them to release, especially with their markup on it when there's so many different options out there. And, for a case and something like that, maybe you can forgive it because it feels really nice in the hands and it's like a premium experience. But for like a hump that's on the back of your phone, I think people are probably less likely to forgive that. So they do miss from time to time.
Yeah, and technically T in the chat mentioned something that about the Magic Keyboard, which I agree with. He's like, he hated paying for it, but once he got it, he loved it. And I mean, it's so bad to the point where I've literally been looking to buy the white one, and I already have the black one. I mean, it's kind of crazy that I'm at the point where I'm like, I would still spend the money on the white one just to get the color because it's so good otherwise, which is ridiculous. And the only reason that I'm not going to get it at this point is because I just bought a car. If I didn't buy the car, I probably would have got it. But to that point, they don't hit it out of the park every time. Case in point, that first Magic Keyboard is still a fingerprint magnet. It's ridiculous. Like, how do they not figure that out? So yeah, there's some things they miss on for sure, but they're given so many opportunities because when they knock it out of the park, they really do knock it out of the park.
And I think their first keyboard case, their first attempt at it wasn't that great. The first iPad Pros and the iPads, like it was okay, like that like folio thing. It didn't have the trackpad, but it was made out of like that fabric material, and it wasn't like the greatest like typing. Like when you go back to that keyboard, it kind of feels like, okay, that was kind of like a first gen attempt at making like a keyboard case. But one of the things that Apple does do pretty well is they'll come back with a lot of products and reinvent it with their own styling. And I think they really did that with that Magic Keyboard. I will say, funnily enough, on Twitter this morning, I read this really quick and I never checked up on it. But if you do own an 11-inch version of the iPad Air or iPad Pro that has the smart connector on the back, Walmart actually has that smart keyboard, the one that we really like, for $150, which is good. Like if you have the 11-inch, so that's a GadgetCast exclusive. If you have the 11-inch iPad Pro or the iPad Air, Walmart is selling that Magic Keyboard for $150 if you never picked it up. I think that's very reasonable. I would actually jump on that if I had an 11-inch version. Like,
is that the previous version of the Magic Keyboard or the newer version?
You know, it doesn't say, which is funny, but it should work on the newer iPad Pro, and for $150 less, I would just pick it up.
100%. Yeah, I was just curious. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm just saying I'm curious.
I don't know. I bet it is the old one. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Hold on.
It's probably the older one, especially if they don't show it in white.
iPad model. Okay, so this is definitely the old one because it says first and second generation compatibility. We're on the third generation of the iPad Pro.
And that's okay. By the way, for people who are listening, my iPad Pro M1 is working on my Magic Keyboard from last year, and it works fine. So that's not.
It'll totally be fine.
Yeah.
Because actually, the 11-inch version of the new iPad Pro even is exactly the same as the older ones. The only ones that changed that got thicker were the 12.9-inch version. So yes, this will work fine on anything. So you're good to go.
Boom. There
$150.
you go.
I think. I would definitely get that if you're interested in the Magic Keyboard.
Yeah, especially if you want to try it out or something. You want to use your iPad Pro or iPad Air or whatever, some more of a laptop replacement type device. So that's you'll need something that's a really nice keyboard case. It does make it a lot more heavy though.
Yeah, that's 3. It's not as bad as on the 11-inch though, to be fair. Like it's not as weighty, but on the 12.9, it does make it pretty hefty. But yeah, $150, like it is crazy. Like I'm looking at the price, $300 for that 11-inch version, and it's like, especially for people buying like the iPad Air, doesn't that seem like ridiculous? Like that the iPad is $600, the keyboard is $300. So.
Yeah, exactly. Because here's the thing: you're only really adding a case, which you can get for like $20 for any of the iPads, and then a keyboard, which if you really just want to go there, you can get those keyboard cases that are just really crappy, but at least do the same thing. They're Bluetooth. They're not. I mean, you'll have to charge them separately, but you can get a keyboard case for like $50-$60. So it does again still feel like holy crap, $150 doesn't make any sense. And I've always said that like some of these higher end peripherals and stuff really need to be for someone who's making money with the device. Otherwise, unless you just have money to throw away, it's like, well, funny you say that because I was talking about there's some high end apartments around where I live that overlook water, and I'm like, as soon as you can see water from your apartment, you better tack on a couple $100,000 to it. So I was looking at, I looked online at one of them because it's in a nice area, and it's for a what was 1,100 square foot apartment. It was like $2,600 a month, and I'm like, those people just have money to throw away. And if you got that kind of money, then go ahead and get yourself all colors of everything. Get all the colors of the iPhone 12 Pros and 12 Pro Max and the 12s, and get the Magic Keyboard cases, both colors, both sizes. Get it all. If you got the money, that's fine. I feel like those are the people that are buying a Magic Keyboard who don't need to make money with their iPad Pro. Otherwise, settle down.
Yeah. So are you interested in like the breakdown of like these things? Let's go over this because it is a slow news week. Listen, $81 billion, Travis, in quarterly.
Okay. That's pocket change.
49% of that comes from the iPhone. So half of that comes from iPhone, which is crazy, right?
That's insane.
Wearables is 11. Well, I should go in order. Services is their second biggest now. 21% of their revenue comes from services, which is crazy to me.
Let's talk about that for a second. So that includes things like Apple TV Plus,
Yeah.
Which, as we talked about a year or so ago, them giving it for free for so many people, we're just now starting to get charged. As a matter of fact, before we got on, I got an email saying my $5, like almost $6 charge to Apple just went through. I'm like, what do I have that's $6 from Apple? And I just realized it's Apple TV.
Yeah.
But I've had it for so long and I've not been charged for so long, I forgot about it. And that's happening this month. So to so many people, they're getting charged for the first time for Apple TV Plus. What else? And then what else? iTunes, Apple Music,
yeah,
apps, App Store, right? Or is
yeah,
that included in there?
Yeah, App Store is a huge part of that revenue. So yeah, that's probably like really the bulk of it, honestly. App Store, Apple Music, Apple Arcade,
the movies
iCloud
you rent,
stuff.
Movies you rent and stuff or buy from iTunes. Yeah. So that's a really good service. Like if you think about it, you really have all your entertainment you need to through there. And that, I think Apple has been kind of focusing more on services. And this is the reason why. I mean, if you think about it, that's a pretty hefty chunk of their money in a quarter coming from services.
Oh, it's a ton. I mean, you look at services, and then that's 21%. The next thing on that list is wearables. So that's like that's AirPods and Apple Watch. That's 11%. So you think about how successful AirPods are. You think about how successful the Apple Watch is, and that is 11%. But this is the crazy part to me. iPhone 49, services 21, wearables 11. The next thing on that list is Mac at 10%. And then the lowest is iPad at 9%. So when you look at like their business, even their wearables are a bigger business to them than either the Mac or the iPad. Right? Like that is pretty weird.
Well, so there's a couple of ways of looking at that. You could look at it. There's just plain more people who would use AirPods versus a whole Mac. However, the cost of a Mac is substantially more than AirPods, so you'd have to sell a whole bunch more AirPods in order to make up for just one MacBook or an iMac or whatever.
Yeah.
But apparently, that's literally what's going on. There's so many, because we think that the Apple Watches probably have something to do with that, but we know largely that AirPods and AirPod Pros are ridiculously, they're sold in ridiculous numbers. So we're assuming the vast majority of that number is our AirPods and AirPods Pro, and which makes them taking so long for these next AirPods to come out kind of weird, because obviously it's going to have an effect on their bottom line. If I was someone in Apple and I'll be like, listen, you need to get these things out now. We want more of that money, son. We want more of that money. Because anyone who has AirPods or AirPods Pro, as soon as they see the new ones, they're going to be like, oh crap, does it have newer, better stuff? Okay, I guess I'm going to get them.
Oh, and I was thinking about this recently because Google sent me like their A series buds, and they're like $100, and they're really good for $100. I think they sound pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Apple's still selling those original or they're not the original, but they sound like the original. The AirPods, I think it's like second or third generation, but they're like $159.
Yeah,
and the fact that like the AirPods Pro, like they go on sale enough for like $200 that I think, okay, whatever. I wouldn't mind picking those up if I had to. But like regular AirPods at this point, and those are more popular than the Pros, by the way. I see more people with those. Yeah. That I feel like at this point, with like the sound quality advancements everyone has made in these earbuds since then, is starting to just be like an awful value. To get those regular AirPods is really bad. I can't wait for them to update them, because if people ask me, like, do I recommend AirPods? At this point, I really don't. I can recommend the Pros to you, but a full price pair of AirPods is just a bad deal. There's Soundcore, they make some great stuff. Like again, Google, $100 for these Pixel A series buds, and they're great. Like honestly, like $100, and they're like delivering. So when you look at Apple, and I know it has the integration, everything like that, but I look at it from a sound quality standpoint, and I don't think the integration for $169 makes it up at that point. So they really need to revamp these. It's long overdue. I think they wanted to get these out for a while for whatever reason, probably supply chain stuff. These have been delayed like a lot of their products have been really recently. But it makes sense because they have to sell so many more of these AirPods than Google or Soundcore or anyone else for that matter has to. But yeah, they need to get these out, because I assume they will be like AirPods Pro without like the noise cancellation. But if they can keep them around like $150, that'll probably be fine if they're in ear, because they'll sound a lot better than what the current ones sound like.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of people who have AirPods stuff don't even realize what they're missing out on.
Yeah.
That's the real thing. And it's funny because to me, they will be blown away when they hear anything new, and they're going to just assume that only Apple can do that quality, like when the next version comes out. So it is interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the new versions come out, and if there is like and I guess there will be, because there's going to be so many just regular AirPod owners that are going to be looking to upgrade, that they could sell like maybe 30 or 40% of the current AirPod owners right off the bat. And that would be a huge number. Can you imagine if even 20% of AirPod owners upgraded? What kind of an incredible like rush of revenue that is for Apple. It's a ridiculous number.
Oh yeah, it would be a huge number for Apple. And I remember reading recently that the AirPods revenue was like dropping, like they weren't selling as many. And it makes sense to me when I look at like how long it's been since they haven't updated that, because if I'm a customer, you know, like the AirPods don't age well too. Like the batteries in them are really small, so they deplete quickly. If I was a customer and like my AirPods are like barely just hanging on at this point, I would not be upgrading, because I would just be waiting, going, well, they got to release the new one soon, right? Like they look exactly the same as the first generation. So in the minds of the consumers, even if they like the product a lot, I think a lot of them are just, you know, a lot of them like to just wait for the next update. They'll see something that looks newer. They'll maybe have a new features or something like that, and they'll jump on it. So I think you're right. There's a lot of money to be made from just a little simple update here.
Yeah, and I'm sure that a lot of this has to do with like the chip shortage and everything else, and they're just trying to get through what they can.
I really do think that, because there's you look at even simple products like AirTags and how long we've been waiting for like those to come out, and we talked about those for so long. They finally come out, and everyone forgets about them the day they're announced. You know, like it's been that long. We've been waiting for like a lot of like these really simple products that aren't like that revolutionary, but for you know, we know the chip delays are causing this. So it's just been a strange product release cycle for like the past 2 years, to the point where now it kind of feels normal that like we're not getting everything like when we should be getting them.
Yeah, you would think, right?
Yeah.
So it has been weird to get used to this sort of stuff, and I'm really hoping that we'll see that change, and we're certainly going to see what kind of impact that has on newer products from Samsung, as Samsung is about to announce and release their new foldables, the Z Flip 3 and the Z Fold 3, which I actually made a video on a week or so ago on my channel. And I'm kind of excited, but I actually have the Z Fold 2 here as my next Amazon Renewed video. And I haven't had it in a while, so I was playing around with it again. And it's just a really cool piece of hardware, the Fold. I like the idea behind it. As I'll probably repeat as I had my initial review of it, it doesn't feel like a phone, because folded, it's not thinner, but not as wide screen as a normal phone. So while you can get a lot of stuff done, there are some things that just are cramped. And opened, it's bigger than a phone, so you can get more done, but then it's less kind of like less compact. So to me, it's not a phone, it's something different. And not to say that it's worse, it's actually just different. And I like it. I like what it's able to do. I like that instead of picking up a tablet when you get home, you just literally open it up, and now you don't have to have a tablet and a phone to kind of get the bigger screen, smaller screen experience. The thickness of it folded is a little bit of an issue for me, and how kind of heavy it is. But as the technology gets better, and we may see that this year, as it becomes thinner and smaller and lighter, man, foldable phones are going to be interesting. I don't know if they'll ever become like mainstream, though.
Didn't Samsung say they wanted to make them mainstream?
Of course they said that. They're the leaders in the space, so of course they want that. I mean, they want to be the one to do that. And in fairness, the thing is, they're one of the few companies that's doing the fold in two ways. They're doing the flip and the fold. They're folding it two different ways, like a sandwich or something. Like, you know, one's one way, one's the other way. One's hot dog, and one's the other one. You know, whatever. And like I said in the video I made, I think they appeal to two different people. So the flip, which is like the old school like razors, where you flip them out, that there's not a lot of practicality to that other than it just makes it smaller to put in your pocket. Once it's flipped open, this is something that I think you said when you got yours, it's basically a regular smartphone because it's the same size. You don't really gain anything once it's unfolded. You do get a little bit of something when you like half fold it. You can take pictures, but how often are you doing that? But by and large, you gain nothing. You simply, when it's folded, gain access to putting it in a pocket that it would fit anyway, even if it wasn't folded, really. So it's less practical. The fold, on the other hand, becomes bigger. So then you can do more with it. So from a practicality standpoint, if you're a productivity person, I think you get the fold. If you're like into fashion or just kind of flexing on things and just want to show some really cool tech or whatever, then you get the flip.
Yeah. And Samsung markets that way too. They make it seem like a really high-end product that's gonna like turn heads like every time you open it, and like people are gonna come up to you and go, "Ooh, what's that?" Which never happened to me, so I was very disappointed in that. But I was expecting it. I was opening it up in like public places when I could be in public, and no one came up to me. I was expecting the popular Samsung. What? Come on. No. Yeah, I don't know. For me though, personally, I'm trying to think what these foldables could do to a point where I would use them more. Because I had both of these products, and again, I'm not discounting the technology. I still think they're amazing. I'm sure if I had a foldable phone right next to me right now, if I opened it up, I would still just be like, "Whoa, you can do that!" Like it is impressive, and that novelty never really wore off on me. But at the end of the day, the experiences both of those products provided me, whether it was the flip or the fold, I didn't really feel like I was gaining anything like groundbreaking. I didn't feel like I was like, oh, I can never give this up now. It was very easy to give up. It just felt like the flip, it was like, all right, it makes it smaller. It's nicer to put in my pocket. But then when you unfold it, it's like, well, this is just kind of like a worse smartphone. And spec-wise, camera-wise, even display-wise, kind of, because the display, even though it's really impressive, it's still not as nice as like a full glass display. And then with the fold, I just didn't find that there was enough there to take advantage of that bigger screen to the point where, it was just kind of like apps that were like blown up, and not like blown up well to take advantage of the extra space, just kind of like bigger text. And, everything was just kind of blown up that way rather than like making a specific app fit to that screen, expose extra controls and stuff like that, which is going to be a problem for these going forward as long as all the other smartphones continue to outsell them 1,000,000 to 1. No developer is really going to put time into making these the best experiences. The only way these are going to get really good is if they do become the popular form factor and every developer assumes you have one of these, then they're going to put the effort and time to make, like when you unfold it into an 8-inch display, they're going to make sure they can take advantage of all that display size and give you like a really excellent experience. So I think that's like the main problem with this. I've said it before, and it's going to sound very Apple fanboyish. I think Apple's like one of the only companies right now that could actually make a foldable work, just given how the iPhone and iPad work. And especially now that we're hearing rumors that there's going to be a new redesigned iPad mini. I think an iPhone that folds out almost to an iPad mini-like device would be perfect, because Apple already has those iOS and iPad apps built out. I think it would be very easy for them to roll that out. Whereas with Android, even though like Android phone apps are usually fine, their tablet apps really aren't anything to write home about. So they don't have the optimization there for the bigger screen. They really are just using blown up phone apps. And then the other major problem, I think, and you kind of touched on this before, is just that they're kind of too thick and clunky right now, especially the fold. The flip is kind of fine. The fold, though, when you're using it as in its phone form, it is way too thick and clunky. And it's something that you really don't want to use that way. You always want to unfold it. But for these to be really successful, they can't compromise on the phone experience. They have to nail both experiences as a tablet and as a phone. And I think we'll eventually get there, because that's just the way technology moves. These things are gonna get thinner. They're gonna get lighter. The display technology is gonna get a lot better. And even this year, one of the rumors, and it seems pretty much confirmed at this point, but there's gonna be S Pen support on on the Fold, which people wanted from the very start. And on a device like this, where you can get a bigger screen, that pen makes a whole lot of sense. So that could be a killer feature for the Galaxy Fold, enough to the point where I think it could drive sales, especially from people who are Note people who really like that device.
When they originally announced the Fold a couple years ago, one of the first videos I made was that should become what the Note series should turn into. And they're at a time now where it looks like the new Note isn't coming out this year. They literally could take this time to start to make that happen. Bringing out the Note now when it's barely different than the S series of phone doesn't make any more sense. With the Fold series, it makes a lot more sense to consider calling that the new Note. And making it work that way. Not everyone's going to agree with that, but I think at this point, there used to be, at least it always felt like there were more differences between the Note and the S series. Over the last couple of years, that has not really been the case. There's been, of course, the S Pen. And, you know, when the Note series first came out, it always had a better processor and a better cameras and stuff like that. These past couple of years, the processor's always been the same, and it's just been the S Pen. Very, very little other differences than that. So the only way you can make it so much more different is to make it a Fold. I think they really should consider doing that. I said it back then. I have not changed my mind on it. With S Pen support, the Fold could be the new Note.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. The Note was always a unique device beforehand because it was just like this giant phone, and you really couldn't get that anywhere else at the time when the Note was really in its heyday. But now everyone makes giant phones, and the only artificial barrier was that S Pen, and it was artificial because now even on like the regular phones, you can get like the S Pen and use it on them. So the Note has become not special at all. It's just kind of like it's almost like, I don't even know what you call it, like almost like a fan edition of a phone because it's slightly better. But the fact that Samsung's going to release a better phone in 4 months after that really makes that Note an incredibly hard sell. And I think they realize that the Fold, obviously a unique device. You're not going to get that experience in a regular phone. So I think you're right. And I think a rebranding to the Note too would be like really good for that phone. I think it would carry a lot of weight with it. And, you know, Samsung, you know, still I think doesn't get enough credit sometimes for really paving the way for big phones. Like, you know, when the Note first came out, when those bigger phones first came out, a lot of people made fun of them.
Yes.
And, you know, you look at phones nowadays, like the default iPhone, 6.1 inches. That was like bigger than the original Note. So Samsung was 100% right. Big phones won out completely. And I wonder, I kind of, you know, I think a lot of people make fun of the folding phones. I think they're still very early. I do wonder maybe in 4 years if we're sitting here and everyone's just got a foldable phone. You know what I mean?
It's a good point. It's actually a really good point. A little bit of trivia. What was the screen size of the very first Galaxy Note? And don't look. You gotta look. Don't look at the chat or anything, Greg. Figure it out.
All right. I'm gonna close my eyes. I just got a default answer. 5 inches.
This used to be considered a huge screen when it first came out. So what is your answer?
It's probably like 4.5, but I'm gonna say 5 inches.
It was 5.3.
5.3.
So close. But now we look at 5.3 and like, what is the iPad Mini or what's the iPhone Mini at now?
5.4. So yeah.
So the Mini is bigger than the Note screen wise. That's insane to think about. The phone itself, I think, was bigger because of the bezels and stuff, but the screen size is actually smaller than the iPhone Mini. That really tells you a lot. It's insane when you think about it.
That is crazy. Yeah. Wow. Because the iPhone at the time was what, 3.5 inches?
Oh, something
like that. Terrible. Very small. Yeah, 3.5. And then they upgraded to 4. And that was considered like, oh, a size increase to 4. Then they went to like 4.7, and the Plus version was 5.5. And yeah, so you look at today's phones, and like I think most phones are like default like a 6-inch display, and it is like, wow.
Yeah.
Like the big phones won out. And yeah, you know, again, I really don't think Samsung gets enough credit for that too, because they really did kind of shift this industry perspective to bigger phones and kind of drive, you know, the phone as the primary computing platform, because most people, it's all phone for them.
Yeah. It's interesting that at the end of the day, what was laughed at one point, because phones were getting smaller for a long time. It was like, how small can you get your phone? That we've completely gone the opposite direction, and it's completely normal. It is very hard to find a phone with a smaller than 5-inch screen, minus the SE. I think, right? The SE is like 4.7 or something like that.
Yeah, the SE is still 4.7.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll even see if the SE sticks around after this year. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they continue with an SE or not. But yeah, it's just interesting how we get used to things over time, and then we consider it normal when once upon a time it was laughable. So really interesting. Although I was on board with notes from very early on, so I was definitely a trailblazer.
But are you on? You're not on with Foldables, so that worries me.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh,
I
yeah?
like Fold. I think the major problem with right now is pricing. I like the fold over the flip, and it's not that I don't like it. I like it. I like it a lot. It's just that it never made sense for me to hold on to a $2,000 piece of hardware that I wasn't using all the time. So that was kind of the problem with it. What
do you think the pricing has to be to get it to like actually make this like a contender? Because I agree with you. I think everything we just talked about, the main barrier to entry right now, it's the $2,000 price point.
Yeah, 100%. Like, so I guess there's a rumor. I think Sarah Byte said in the chat that the flip will be close to $1,000. There's a rumor of that, which would be a good price for that type of phone. The fold, though, I think you can get away with a little bit more. But I think like there's a price where you're going to sell either a lot or not a lot, and it's about $100 difference, I believe. And I could be wrong. I think you can get away with like $1,200 to $1,299, and you'll still get a lot of people to buy it. I think you go much beyond that, and people start going, Now, if you do what Samsung is doing this year, where you can trade in phones with an S, not just one phone towards it, that's going to help a lot. I'm really curious to see what happens with this trade-in deal with the Fold 3. I'm going to attempt to trade in 2 phones and see how much off I can get and how cheap I can get that Fold 3 for.
It better be like the car trade-in values. My iPhone 12 better be worth more than
That is true. That better, and that's 100% right. It better be. Because I got that iPhone 10 that I put together in that video I did a while back that's sitting around not doing anything. So I'm definitely going to trade that in. Please don't tell them that the one part doesn't work. I mean, everything else works except for the Face ID. Everything else works except for Face ID, but they don't need to know that.
They don't need to know that. Some guy will look at it and go, yeah, that's a phone.
Right.
Okay.
Listen, they ask you, does it turn on? Yes. Does it have water damage? No. Is it unlocked? Yes. Okay, there you go. You didn't ask them about no Face ID. You didn't say, did you take it apart?
You would have told them if they put the option there.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. Did you make a YouTube video about fixing a broken screen? Well, yes, I did, as a matter of fact. Did it work 100% after you were done? Well, no. But that's not on there. So anyway, they're gonna get this iPhone 10. That's what's gonna happen. Anyway,
I'm actually worried about the trade-in value of my iPhone 12, my regular iPhone 12.
Oh, you're gonna use that for? What are you gonna use that for?
Well, I want to trade it in. Like, I have a regular iPhone 12 that I picked up for a review, and I've actually been using it on like the 15 beta. And I gotta say, I've usually had like pretty good luck with like iPhones like not getting damaged, even without like cases and stuff like that. This blue iPhone 12, for whatever reason, it is like scratched up on the back like crazy.
Ooh.
Like, I don't know why. I don't know if it's like the blue color just like shows it off, like all like these like scratches and scuff marks, because it's like it's like a deep blue, but it's like out of all the iPhones I've ever had, like I don't think I've ever had like the back get like damaged. And like this back is like all like scratched up. It's like, it's pretty crazy how like bad shape it is in, especially for a phone that wasn't even like my primary phone too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this was in like a drawer for like 4 months at one point, because I was like on the Pro Max, and then I only started using it again when I picked up the 15 beta. So,
hey, Genosis is saying in the chat that Samsung has a charitable trade-in for the Surface 2 Duo. Oh, that's a different thing. I'm thinking of. I thought she was talking about the Microsoft Surface Duo 8.1, the almost phone-ish type thing. They're actually. I think that's Surface 2 Duo. Is that supposed to be the phone or the other thing? Because here's the thing. Gadget Scratch. That's good.
Gadget Scratch.
Because I see right now on Slick Deals that you can get the Microsoft Surface Duo, which I think, did you buy that?
Yeah, but I returned that.
Yeah,
I didn't even do a review on it. I was like,
You can
I
get-
hate this.
Apparently, there's a website selling for $400. So I don't know if they're doing a trade in for that. Yeah, if they're doing a trade in for that, and it's more than $400, I might buy this just to trade in towards the thing, because that was the thing. I
How
actually
much
made a
is the
video.
trade in for the service?
I don't know. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know.
Generous.
So, Genosis, let us know. So I did a video last year about trade-ins where it was cheaper to buy a Amazon renewed phone and then trade it into Samsung. You'd still make money towards like the newest phone. It was actually a really funny little deal that their trade-in value was so good that you could buy it used and then trade it into them and still make money. So yeah.
I don't even see, I'm on the Samsung trade-in site. I don't even see Microsoft as like a viable vendor to trade this in.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. I think trade-in value for Duo is 500 for the S21 Ultra. Really? And that's the other thing. They don't do the same trade-in prices or anything for different phones. I noticed this last year when I thought I was going to get a good trade-in towards the Fold, when I looked up the pricing on the S21 Ultra, and they did not use the same trade-in value for the Fold and the Ultra, which I thought was really interesting. They didn't give as much for the Ultra going towards the Ultra as they did going towards the Fold as they did the Ultra, which I thought was backwards. But yeah, so you have to just keep an eye on that stuff. We'll be talking about whatever that is after the announcement on the 11th. We'll try to tell you what deals you can use to hopefully save yourself some money if you're interested in getting the Fold or the Flip. Also, I have done an Amazon renewed video on the Z Fold Flip on my channel as well. It was $600. That's a hell of a deal for the Flip.
Yeah, that really is. Man, I never get like this Samsung stuff with doing the pre-order, or it's not really a pre-order, it's like a reserve thing, but it's like you don't even know what the phone is.
No, I know. They're hilarious when they do that. Like, save up for the next Samsung. Here's what kind of trade-in you want, bro. I don't know what it is. It's because they know we know. It's because they know we know. That's the thing. Because no one does that when they really don't. They really haven't told you what it is. They know we know. They're leaking that stuff out. I've talked about this before.
Can you imagine if Apple did that? They would actually probably like legitimately get all the pre-orders filled. Just be like, 100%. You know what? We're just gonna. You don't know what we're announcing, but guess what? You're getting it.
You can have it if you want to throw some money down.
It's a new iPod. All right. Gotcha.
I gotcha. All right. Anything else we need to talk about before we wrap it up today?
Yes. One last thing. We're going to talk about one last thing. Last week or the week before that, sorry, because we missed the show. We read a review. So I have follow-up on a review we read.
Oh.
It was from I Never Do Reviews, but he left us a 4-star review, right? On Apple Podcasts.
Uh-huh.
And his initial review was, Greg said he would read this on the podcast, so here you go. I read that on the last show we had, and he has since revised his review to a 5-star. So we gained a star.
Okay.
And he wrote an edit in his review, and he said, he read it. Added the star. He heard me shame him for a 4-star review, and he did the right thing, came back and left us a 5-star review. So we appreciate that. We appreciate that so much. So, if any of you guys are still listening and at one time left us a bad review, obviously you're still listening, so you like the show. So go ahead and revise your bad review. If you left like a 1-star, 5 stars because you're still listening. So.
Yeah, and to leave us reviews. It actually helps us in the believe it or not. There's like an algorithm for Apple Podcasts. It definitely help us out during this kind of slower time of year. We're hoping that things pick up here really soon. And but in the meantime, we're still giving you all this amazing content.
Yeah. So I think the show is more entertaining than the last Genius Bar podcast, according to that one guy who said it was boring. So
there you go.
I'll let you decide.
I agree with that. Well, anyway, we'll do it again soon. Hopefully we'll have some more news next week. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children, all, thank you so much for joining us this week. He's Greg. I'm Travis. And this is GadgetCast.
I just say space travel.
Okay, so one real quick thing before. Tell them how to do the request Apple Podcast. One real quick thing. So my batteries on these headphones were almost dead. And I looked up, I was like, oh, crap, I have to quickly, like it was 10 minutes before the show. I was like, I have to charge these up so that they'll work through the podcast, but I know I'm only going to be able to do it for a little bit of time. And I'm like, I remember it having some type of supercharge. So I charged it up and I looked it up. 5 minutes gives you 5 hours, which is insane. Insane. I love these headphones. And for those of you that are new and never really noticed this, these are actually the exclusive GadgetCast version of the Q10s with our logo on them. Soundcore made them for us. We actually still have, and we gave 2 away to 2 fans who are rarely in chat anymore, ironically. they were always in chat.
What?
They were always in chat. They were always in chat every single time. And then we gave them to him. Now he went away. I mean, we see Tish every so often. But what happened to Sean? What happened to my dude? Where is he at? Anyway, we still have 2 left. I'm thinking we should do something about it. I think we should give them away to super fans, but we don't know exactly how to do it. Maybe we have someone like write an email or something. I don't know. We should have them do something.
Yeah.
And then we'll send. We have 2 left. Inbox. There's only 6 in the world. They're the 2 that we have, the 2 we send off, and 2 more that are in my other room. And I need to make room. So I need to figure out how to get these out. Would any of you gents be interested in joining our first birthday live, August 15th? Already got Prosser, Miani, Brian Tong, Saren Bites, plus many more. Wow, that's a big lineup. What day of the week is the 15th? What day of the week is the 15th? That is a Sunday. Well, how would we do that if we're live? How would we do that? iCave Dave. What time is the show? I mean, so you know what time we do our show? Like we're over now. Is it before or after this? I mean, I guess we could supercast it and just make it. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. Hold on. Do it when you're not live. It's 6 hours. What? Yeah, well, I'm definitely not doing a 6-hour thing. I mean, I come in for 30 minutes or so, but it depends on like when. So when is it? I know. Listen, iCave Dave is here all the time, so I'm down to support him. Going live for 6 hours. Want to jump over 10 minutes from 12 GMT. Well, I don't know what GMT. What does that mean? What time is that? What is the real time?
Don't ask me. I don't know. What is GMT?
Well, I think I'm -6 GMT or something like that. I don't know what that means. iCave Dave, just tweet me the link when you go live. And I'll jump in for a little bit. 5 a.m. California. Good Lord. No, that's definitely not happening on a Sunday. But if you're on for 6 hours and it's on till 11, well, that's going to be difficult. That's going to be difficult because I'm at church up until about 11. I guess I could like at 7 or something. I don't know. I'm surprised you're going to get Prosser up for that early. And even Miani, like, are you sure you're going to get them? Anyway, look, just tweet me the link and I'll try to make time. It's different for Greg because it's later for him. It's another 3 hours in addition to that. Yeah. So it's like a little bit later, but I don't know. Greg is kind of notoriously difficult to get for these things.
It's true. I am notoriously difficult to get to these things. I'll say.
But you can tweet me because I'm notoriously nice.
You can tweet me too. I might feel nice that day. Might drop in.
I don't mind. Just send me the link. I know it's crazy. I mean, I've tried shawarma. Oh no, I think I've tried shawarma. It makes it so hard to be there for daily room years. All right, okay, Dave. Yeah, of course. We're there to support you, brother. You're always here. So we'll definitely give it a shot. For sure, I will give it a shot. For sure. All right. Well, anyway, let's we got to go out here. And I really appreciate everyone for joining on, showing up and doing the thing, making it fun for us to do. And we'll do it again in another week or so. So that'll do it. Peace and love. Peace
Goodbye.
and love. Goodbye.